Hernán Drago, an Argentinian model, actor, and quite possibly one of the most genetically elite male faces in the world. But what makes his face stand out so much? And is he attractive to everyone? Because I'll admit there's a bias towards the male gaze when looking at attractiveness in general. The male gaze tends to overemphasize ultra-structured features, sharp jawlines, hollow cheeks, hunter eyes, and extreme leanness. Things that signal dominance, power, and aesthetics in a competitive sense. The female gaze, however, often values a mix: masculine structure plus softness, warmth, emotional depth, facial expressiveness, and subtle cues of health and care. Drago's face is highly optimized for the male gaze. This is more idealized by men than desired by women, especially in long-term mate selection studies. And don't mistake this as not being attractive. Women in short-term contexts do prefer these sharper masculine features. But in most contexts, faces that blend masculinity with warmth, like Alain Delon or Francisco, tend to score higher in female attraction studies. Let's start with the fundamentals: symmetry and balance. Hernan Drago's face displays near-perfect bilateral symmetry. From the exocanthon and endocanthon of the eyes to the mouth, corners and jaw angles, any asymmetry is below human detection threshold, less than 2 millimeters in most areas. That's exceptionally rare, and it gives his face a kind of sculpted, almost mathematical appearance. The eye sockets align cleanly with the corners of the lips. The cheekbones form a wide, flat arc, and his jaw is mirrored almost perfectly from left to right. Now, let's talk ratios. Drago's facial thirds are remarkably balanced, nearly perfect harmony. Each third is close to 1/3 of the total facial height, creating that harmonious look. His bizygomatic width is wide and dominant. His begonial width comes in just slightly narrower, giving him a hunter-like masculine shape. The ideal male ratio for jaw-to-cheek width is about 0.88 to 0.9, and he lands right there. His facial width-to-height ratio, a predictor of dominance and perceived masculinity, is approximately 1.9, which falls within the strong male ideal. This gives him that assertive look. Let's get into the jaw, the defining feature of his face. His gonial angle sits around 128 degrees. That's actually above average, but still within the masculine aesthetic ideal, which ranges from 120 to 130. From the front, the jawline angle is around 88 degrees, which is extremely strong. This gives his face that power jaw without looking overly square or exaggerated. The chin itself is projected, wide, and vertically long, essential for a masculine profile. His chin-to-philtrum ratio is around 2 to 3 to 1, which aligns almost perfectly with male attractiveness studies. It's a small detail, but in aesthetics, details are everything. Drago's eyes are perhaps his most defining soft tissue feature. He has a positive canthal tilt of around 7 degrees. This is associated with youthfulness and sexual dimorphism. The palpebral fissure length-to-height ratio is about 3.3, giving him wide, almond-shaped eyes that are deep-set. This creates the hunter eye look. He also shows minimal scleral show, meaning the white part beneath the iris isn't exposed. His nose is prominent. From the side, it follows an ideal male nasal profile, combined with strong zygomatic projection and minimal orbital hollowing. His mid-face is forward-grown. I think mid-face development is one of the most overlooked factors in attractiveness. In Drago's case, the maxilla is clearly projected forward, which adds depth, youthfulness, and facial strength. Drago is an excellent example of high sexual dimorphism. For masculine facial dimorphism, he lands around 9.625. But here's the thing. This same masculinity that makes him striking under the male gaze might actually limit his appeal under the female gaze. This happens often with ultra-structured faces. A thing that gives him an advantage is his skin and aging potential. Drago's skin is taut, his nasolabial folds minimal, and his cheek fat is evenly distributed without looking puffy. This is the result of his underlying bone structure doing all the heavy lifting. Bone supports the soft tissue, reducing signs of aging, especially around the mid-face and jaw. Some people actually describe him as looking too perfect, almost unreal. This is because he hits so many anthropometric ideals simultaneously, something extremely rare. By the male gaze, he scores somewhere around 9.5 out of 10, one of the most structurally elite men in modern media. By the female gaze, he scores 8.6, so his overall rating comes to a 9. That's extremely rare. We're talking a 0.001% of men, genetically and aesthetically. He's a living example of what happens when the right genes align. Join the Patreon community in the link down below. Thanks for watching.